Hello everybody. The sluggish Warriors pulled out a win against the also sluggish Sacramento Kings. The Kings managed to get it to within 5 points with the fourth quarter winding down, but the Warriors used their version of the old small ball death lineup. We still have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, but instead of Klay Thompson, we have Damian Lee, and instead of Harrison Barnes, we have Otto Porter Jr., and they did a pretty good job down the stretch. And in particular, the classic three of Steph, Dray, and Andre showed a lot of almost telepathic teamwork. It looks like Otto Porter Jr. wants to set up in the post, and then it'll be one of these three-man games, some kind of classic split where Andre comes up and sets a screen for Steph. But the Kings are very brazenly playing this very soft double team. So Steph is being guarded by old friend and part-time Kardashian Tristen Thompson. And then we have Metu over here, who's just hanging out on Steph. He's not off Steph. He's just trying to intimidate Steph with his wingspan. And Otto Porter says, you know what, instead of the split cut, why don't I just set this screen on this man, and then Andre can flare out here and he'll be completely open for three. There's a screen. Andre is completely open. Metu had a pretty good game, but he is going to be way too late to contest this Andre three. And to be honest, I think if you're the Kings, you're not going to cry because his three ball is pretty erratic nowadays. Earlier in the game, he had a corner three which hit the top corner of the backboard, which is pretty incredible. And in a previous video, he hit the side of the backboard. So Andre is either lasering them in or just hitting random parts of the court with his three-point shot. In this case, though, swish. Next time down, Haliburton calls for a pick and roll. Haliburton had quite a game. A lot of us were pining for the Warriors to draft Haliburton in the James Wiseman draft. This is just a simple high pick and roll. Haliburton goes this way. His defender just goes around the screen. And more importantly, Haliburton had been getting all kinds of lanes to drive and attack the basket, but the Warriors now are selling out to clog up the lane. So Steph Curry here is supposedly guarding this man, but he's just sitting right here on the elbow, so Haliburton cannot easily drive this way. Draymond is just hanging out on this elbow. This man is definitely ready to rotate, so it's just a forest of defenders here. Haliburton does make the right basketball play. He knows that he can't drive because he's going to be chased by Iguodala, and Steph here is to stop him, but that means Steph has left this shooter. Steph alertly closes out on the shooter, so now he drives in. So if you're an offensive player, you're only allowed to be in the lane for 3 seconds. The count starts as soon as you put a foot in this lane. And Harkless gets it with most of this 5:50 on the clock. And Tristen Thompson is going to enter very, very soon after. There's the count. Draymond and Otto Porter Jr. just blocking the lane completely. Tries to toss it to Thompson, who'll come across. And then Harkless tries to clear out, both to drag Draymond out of the lane, and also he still needs to get out of the lane. This is pretty touchy. I'm not sure if he completely gets out of the lane or not. I guess his foot is still in the lane here. A bit touchy, but Draymond doesn't go anywhere. He just stays here as part of the wall against Tristen Thompson. The spacing is horrible, so Harkless tries again. Thompson throws it over to him, and he bobbles the catch, which makes it impossible. And by the time he finishes twirling and twirling, now at 5:45, Harkless and Tristen Thompson entered the lane at 5:50, so we're well past the 3-second mark. And even if you think that Harkless maybe cleared the lane, Tristen Thompson definitely did not. So good defense and not great offense. Also, Draymond rejected that shot with serious authority, so it didn't really matter either way. Next play down, here's a strange sight. Here's Steph, and only Buddy Hield is guarding him. Single coverage. Steph says, wow, I'm only being guarded by one guy, and he's not a lockdown defender either. Let me just blow by you. There he goes. There's Tristen Thompson in the corner here. Maybe he could have rotated. Harkless here doesn't seem too interested in rotating either, so Steph says, thank the Lordy, I am free to the basket. Draymond flicks up the thumb. This is turned into a split cut. Andre's in the post here. Draymond sets a screen. Steph is going to take this screen. Metu switches nicely to Steph. Tristen Thompson, I think, is not quite sure whether he should be doubling Steph, and Draymond tries to make his mind up for him by cutting hard to the basket. So he loses Tristen Thompson. Draymond does have choices right now. He can just drive all the way to the basket, but this man will rotate, or this man will rotate. And if either of these guys looks like a threat to stop him, then Draymond will just pass it to whoever's open. Two great three-point shooters, but the rotation is too slow. Draymond with a nice layup, and politely pointing out Andre Iguodala, who threw the pass. The Kings counterattack fast, and look, it's Harrison Barnes. It's really a death lineup reunion. Barnes looks like he might have a lane, but this is Draymond, so he's just going to intercept Harrison and go up for the block. Harrison finding the corner shooter, but there's a reason he's open. He is your big bruising center, and his three-point percentage is not good. And he airmails that way over right to Otto Porter Jr. Thank you very much. And just to show the Warriors aren't perfect, Otto throws a perfect pass to Andre Iguodala's butt cheeks, and that's going to give the ball right back. Okay, so now it's closing time, and you can't get much more classic than this play. We have Steph, Draymond Green with a little 1-2 pass to Andre Iguodala in the post. This is going to be a completely vanilla split cut. They're just counting on Buddy Hield and Metu being unable to navigate this. Alright, here comes Draymond to screen. He's also going to use the gluteus maximus to get in the way of the defender. Steph takes the screen, and unfortunately, Metu is just too inexperienced to be able to know how to handle this. He really needs to jump out and switch to Steph. Instead, he just ends up hypnotized by the cool motion, and Steph is now very open for 3. Let's check the premature celebration cam. Okay, this is not too premature, and so Steph is pretty open. Otto Porter Jr. raising his hand, and but he, Otto does really lean into this. He's not only throwing up the OK 3, he's doing his own look away. He's put his hand down, he's looking away, saying, "You all can ooh and ah. I've seen this movie too many times." But he can't resist a little peek. Swish. Alright, here's a quiz. Can you tell what play the Warriors are calling? Let's see. Draymond signals it a couple times. Okay, here's Draymond signaling it. You probably can't see it, but he's holding up a fist. And then, just in case you missed it that time, Draymond is also holding up a fist. So whatever play this is, it's a fist call, right? And if you've watched my previous videos and took notes, you should know what this is. Okay, so this is some form of the Klay play, and you can look in my past videos about why I call it the Klay play. Basically, Klay used to be the only one who ran this. The Klay play always begins with down screen for someone who's going to come and set this ghost screen. Whoever sets the pin down is going to get a screen to the wing. Now this is not the vanilla Klay play because we have Draymond taking this pin and screen. If this was Klay, then he'd get the ball and he would just fire it. Draymond clearly is not going to fire it. That's not going to be plan A. That's going to be plan G at best. So in this version, when Draymond gets it, it turns out to be this two-man game up top with someone diving. Steph calls Damian over, so Damian is coming to take this screen. And Damian is the one who ends up diving, but he's covered all right by the defense. This ends up being a three-man action. In every Warriors three-man action, someone dives and then someone gets a screen. That will be, of course, Steph. Steph gets a quick screen from Draymond, who immediately slips it. Tristen Thompson reaching out to Draymond. "Please, baby, please, don't leave me, baby." So this is defended pretty well, though. Hield trailing Steph hard. Harrison Barnes jumping out to stop Steph. So they've got Steph in a micro trap here. Steph with a really slick little pass behind the back to Andre. And I think this is pretty well guarded. Harrison Barnes closing out on Andre. Buddy Hield on Steph Curry's posterior. Steph is going to cut baseline. Buddy Hield just gets like a quarter of a step behind Steph. The space is so little. This is pretty well covered. Buddy Hield sees it happening immediately. Andre hits Steph perfectly in stride, and the layup. Suddenly it's a 17-point game. The Warriors have ripped off a 12-0 run thanks to the sweet teamwork of the original three in the new version of the small ball death lineup. I gotta throw in one bonus play. Here's Warriors three-man action. There's always someone who dives to the basket, and then someone gets a pin down screen to pop out. So there's a dive and there's a pop. In this case, Damian Lee is going to rip through here and dive. Otto Porter Jr. is going to set this pin down for Steph. This is guarded pretty well. Steph fakes the baseline and then goes the other way, takes the screen. Tristen Thompson jumps out. He did have to guard this action 400 times when he was a member of the Cavaliers. And then we have this defender recovering to Otto Porter Jr. Good clean switch. Tristen Thompson doesn't really care where the ball is. He just wants to put his hands on Steph. But now it's just a matter of Steph juking back and forth to try to lose Tristen Thompson. Tristen Thompson not even looking at the ball. He's just face guarding Steph. Just looking at Steph's beautiful face. You have your mother's eyes. Steph with the cut this way. Thompson steps this way, but I think he guards is not bad. Steph now goes back door. Thompson has to follow him. That's just a really sweet pass from Draymond. This is going to force Buddy Hield to rotate. Tristen Thompson's rotating. Steph is going to accept the double team. Anytime you have two guarding one, somebody is open, and that person is Andre, who has a clear lane to the basket, and Steph can just hit him, and it'll be a dunk, right? Nice bullet hook pass. Haliburton rotating to Andre slowly. If Andre was younger, I think he'd just go up and dunk, but he's not younger, and he's a man of the people, and he wants to give people a little razzle-dazzle. They are up 15. So right on the catch, the beautiful behind-the-back pass to Otto Porter Jr., who, to his credit, did catch it. You can't really expect Andre to throw him the ball at this point. Yoink, right to him. Oh, you know what? I think there was maybe some man reflexes there to protect the family jewels. Nice job anyway, Otto Porter Jr. And in some ways, on paper, this doesn't look good because now Otto Porter Jr. has two men coming at him right at the basket. But I think everyone was just so surprised by it that if OPJ goes up fast, he'll get a little layup. And he does. There's Andre with his patented, hey, what do you expect from me? I'm a passing god. This is what I do. What do you expect? Did you ever doubt me? Were you doubting me?